What makes El Clásico the best derby in the world is everything.
You talk about what makes a Clásico great, the drama they had, that intensity, flying around into an action. This game had it, and then in the end, the fan, the emotion, the atmosphere.
For 90 minutes, the football world watches two of the biggest clubs on the planet fight each other.
Well, it's a game that matters if you're watching in Japan or in India or in the US or in Africa. It doesn't matter where you are, that this is still a game that people kind of latch onto.
And I mean the word fight literally, because sometimes there are more physical altercations in this match than actual football.
It's criminal. Each time there is a Madrid-Barca duel at the Bernabeu, certain Madrid players go out with the intention of injuring Messi.
He's doing one of these to Lamine Yamal and to Barcelona. You're yapping, you're talking, right?
Red card, Stevie?
Yeah.
Yeah, no attempt for the ball.
No, it's a pathetic push is what it is.
But while fans remember the goals and trophies, many of football's biggest El Clásico wins weren't on the pitch. They came in the transfer market.
Si yo soy presidente del Real Madrid, Luis Figo será jugador del Real Madrid.
That it's not Real Madrid he'll be heading to, but Barcelona.
Behind the scenes, Real Madrid and Barcelona are constantly competing for the biggest names in world football, and that's because winning a transfer battle has a double impact. One club strengthens its own squad while simultaneously preventing its biggest rival from doing the same. A perfect example of this can be seen in the summer of 2026, where both clubs hijacked a deal from each other in the midfield position. Let's start with Bernardo Silva.
Bernardo Silva, another player that's been linked heavily with Barcelona.
For years, Barca openly admired the Portuguese playmaker and were regularly linked with signing him. It made sense. Everything about the way the guy played was Barca coded. Small, technical, magical left foot. Every transfer window, there was a fresh rumor that he wanted to make the move to Camp Nou. The problem was always the money. Barcelona struggled to create enough room under their financial restrictions to get a deal over the line.
If you've identified him as a target, great. But how do you get him? What kind of deal do you do that's acceptable for Manchester City, acceptable for Bernardo Silva, and sees you through the criteria for financial fair play at the same time as you're trying to get Christensen in, Kessie in, possibly Koundé in, Azpilicueta, and Lewandowski? It just, right now, you look at the numbers and it just doesn't add up. Now,
while all of this was happening, Real Madrid kept a close eye on the situation. They knew that if Barcelona couldn't make the move happen, there might be a chance to step in there and sign one of Europe's best midfielders themselves. And that's exactly what they did. Whether it was because of the higher wages or the aura of Mourinho, Bernardo said yes to Madrid's project and no to Barca's. While Rodri did the opposite. Real Madrid saw him as the perfect long-term replacement in the middle of the park.
And the deal is either done or close to being done because Rodri only wants to go to one club, and that is Real Madrid.
But Barca also knew exactly how important he could be. So when Madrid took too long to finalize his deal and bring him in, Barca explored ways to convince him to move to Camp Nou instead.
Just 24 hours ago, we were talking about the possibility of him moving from Manchester City to Real Madrid. That seems to have taken a dramatic change over the last few hours, Alex. Suggestions are that it's not Real Madrid he'll be heading to, but Barcelona.
Hoping not only to strengthen their own team, but also stop Madrid from signing the player they believed could control their midfield for the next few years. A similar thing happened all the way back in 2016. After helping Portugal win the Euros, Andre Gomes became one of the hottest young midfielders in Europe. Real Madrid were heavily linked with him, and many reports even claimed that the deal was close to being completed. Then Barca stepped in. Almost overnight, they went directly to Valencia and worked out a deal worth around 42 million euros. Before Madrid had even a chance to respond, Barca officially announced Gomes as their newest signing. It was one of the quickest transfer hijacks of that summer and left Madrid empty-handed playing with their balls. Though I would argue Madrid dodged a bullet because he really wasn't that good for Barca. Then you have the battle of Neymar back in 2013. Real Madrid had been following Neymar since he was a teenager. Not surprising considering Florentino Perez loves recruiting young Brazilians. They even brought Neymar to Madrid for a trial and medical back in 2006, and for years they believed they were leading the race to sign him. But Barca had other ideas. The club had built a close relationship with Neymar's father and the investment groups involved in the deal. On top of that, the chance to play alongside Lionel Messi and follow in the footsteps of Ronaldinho made Barcelona incredibly attractive. Even though Real Madrid reportedly offered more money, Neymar chose Camp Nou. Now the transfer later became controversial because the real cost was much higher than what Barcelona originally announced, leading to years of legal investigations and eventually the resignation of the club president, Sandro Rosell. On the pitch though, the move couldn't have worked out much better. Neymar joined Messi and Luis Suarez to form the famous MSN front three, helping Barcelona win the treble in 2015. Then you have the transfer saga of David Villa back in 2010. Before Villa became one of Barcelona's greatest players, he came very close to joining Real Madrid. Back in 2008, Madrid made a huge offer to Valencia while the club was dealing with serious financial problems. But Valencia's president refused to sell him to their biggest rival because he feared the reaction from the fans. That's right, back then they used to be rivals because Valencia were actually good. A year later, Madrid moved on and signed Karim Benzema instead, so Barcelona saw their chance. In 2010, they agreed a 40 million euros deal with Valencia, and Villa became a Barca player just before the World Cup. It turned out to be a brilliant signing, with Villa playing a huge role in Barcelona's success. Who can forget the goal he scored in the 2011 Champions League final, or him scoring twice during that famous 5-0 win over Jose Mourinho's Real Madrid? Now 2 years before that, Barca did the same thing with Dani Alves. It's hard to imagine Barca without Dani Alves, but he almost ended up wearing white instead of the blue and red. During his time at Sevilla, he had established himself as the best right back in Spain, and Real Madrid pushed hard to sign him. The Brazilian later admitted that a move to the Bernabeu came very close. The problem was Sevilla. Club president Jose Maria del Nido refused to lower his asking price and used interest from other clubs to drive the fee even higher. Eventually, Madrid walked away from the negotiations, but Barcelona didn't. They agreed a deal worth up to 35.5 million euros and brought Alves to the Camp Nou. The rest is history. Alves became one of the greatest fullbacks of all time, winning 23 trophies with Barcelona and playing a huge role in one of the greatest teams football has ever seen. Now, for every transfer battle Barcelona has won, Real Madrid has responded with one of its own. No transfer has ever shocked football quite like Luis Figo's move from Barcelona to Real Madrid. At the time, Figo was Barcelona's captain, one of the best footballers in the world, and a fan favorite. Then everything changed during Real Madrid's presidential election in 2000. Florentino Perez, who was running for president, made an unbelievable promise.
Si yo soy presidente del Real Madrid, Luis Figo será jugador del Real Madrid.
He claimed that if he won the election, he would bring Figo to the Bernabeu. Behind the scenes, Perez had already reached an agreement with Figo's agent. The contract included a 1.6 million euros signing bonus, and a clause saying that if Perez became president, Figo would have to join Real Madrid. If he backed out, he would personally owe Perez 30 million euros. Figo signed because he believed Perez had no chance of winning. He thought the agreement would simply help him negotiate a better contract with Barcelona. He was wrong. Perez won the election, Barca refused to cover the penalty clause, and Madrid paid Figo 60 million euros release clause. The move naturally caused outrage across Catalonia. Figo instantly became public enemy number one, with pig heads being thrown onto the pitch during his return to Camp Nou. The transfer also marked the beginning of Perez's original Galacticos project. Now 3 years later, Madrid pulled off another huge transfer victory over Barcelona. Joan Laporta had built much of his presidential campaign around one promise: bring David Beckham to the Camp Nou.
Pre-election, you wanted David Beckham.
And we were talking with the club, with Manchester United, in order to find the possibility to incorporate Beckham as a player of Football Club Barcelona.
Barca even believed they had reached an agreement with Manchester United.
We reached an agreement with Manchester United in the Heathrow Airport, I remember perfectly. We signed an agreement.
But while Barcelona celebrated Laporta's election, Florentino Perez was working quietly behind the scenes. Instead of negotiating through the clubs, Madrid convinced Beckham himself. Within days, Beckham was wearing white instead of the blue and red.
And we were waiting at that time for the answer, you know. And the answer arrived after our elections, and he signed it by Real Madrid.
Barca were left scrambling for an alternative and eventually signed Ronaldinho instead. Not too bad of a signing considering that guy literally changed the club's future.
Ronaldinho was a great player, but I think that he became the best player of the world in Football Club Barcelona.
While Real Madrid and Barcelona fight each other on everything, here at Pet Talks, we want to show some love. And I specifically want to show some love to our newest channel members. So shout out to MFSARS1075, Marcel Mio, and Barca Blaugrana 11. If I butchered any of your names, please message me privately either in the comments or on Twitter or on the Discord, and I will make sure to fix it for a future video. These members get access to PedTalksFutbol.com. Now this is a public website, you all get access to it, but the members get access to dark web football, where I show articles and information that doesn't even make it into the videos. You can't Google this stuff, it's specifically made for members. And number 2, you get access to our Discord. As you guys saw during the World Cup, it's very easy to be surrounded by morons, so come join a community of like-minded individuals. And thirdly, you get a shout out in these videos. I wanted to do this so I could show you guys that the support does not go unnoticed. Our rise has been so fantastic and quick together that it's forced other creators to have to find ways to try and discredit what we've been doing. But contrary to what they might think, our videos are not produced by putting a single prompt into ChatGPT. There are real human beings and people working on these projects with me. I have a whole team. So when you guys support the channel, you're not just supporting me, you're supporting my editors, my graphic designers, who I can't believe I have to specify, are real human beings. So the support does not go unnoticed. And we're only gonna get bigger and bigger, which means the talking and the yapping from the outside is only gonna get bigger. So as a community, we have to stick together, and that's why your support means so much to me. Now back to the video. Then there was Marco Asensio, who looked destined to become a Barcelona player. The club had followed the young Mallorca star for months and had even agreed on a transfer fee of around 4.5 million euros. The problem was how they wanted to pay. Barca proposed paying in installments. They're like my buddy who always asks me for money. Just pay me back, man. I don't need weekly installments. But Mallorca desperately needed the money immediately. That delay opened the door for Real Madrid. According to reports, after receiving a phone call from lifelong Madrid supporter Rafael Nadal, Florentino Perez acted quickly. Madrid paid the full amount up front, completed the deal almost immediately, and took Asensio away from Barcelona. Asensio would go on to win 3 Champions League titles with Real Madrid, and of course dunked his nuts on Barcelona. Real Madrid struck again in 2017. After Dani Ceballos was named the best player at the European Under-21 Championship, Barcelona made him one of their top targets. Madrid moved faster though. They offered Real Betis more money than Barcelona and gave Ceballos a much more attractive contract. Within days, one of Spain's brightest young midfielders was heading to the Bernabeu instead of the Camp Nou. Though again, I would make the argument that Barca won this deal because Dani Ceballos, he wasn't that great. Now, Barca and Real Madrid battling for signings has been happening since football could only be viewed in black and white. Just look at the battle over Alfredo Di Stefano. Barcelona believed they had signed the legendary forward after reaching an agreement with River Plate, who owned his registration rights. At the same time, Real Madrid negotiated separately with Millonarios, the Colombian club where Di Stefano was actually playing. Now, this dispute became so complicated that Spanish football officials suggested a ridiculous solution. Di Stefano would alternate seasons between Barcelona and Real Madrid. What? I'm still laughing, man. I couldn't believe this when I was researching it. Barca refused. Their board resigned in protest and eventually walked away from the deal altogether. Di Stefano joined Real Madrid permanently and completely changed the history of the club, leading them to 5 straight European Cups and becoming one of the greatest players of all time. Then the battle for Arda Güler showed that nothing has changed between Spain's 2 biggest clubs. Barca looked like they were in complete control. Sporting director Deco flew to Turkey to meet with the player and his family, while club president Joan Laporta openly spoke about the negotiation. Barca's plan was to sign Güler but leave him at Fenerbahce for another season because of their financial situation. Real Madrid saw the opportunity. They offered more money up front, included extra bonuses, and most importantly promised Güler an immediate place in Carlo Ancelotti's first team squad instead of another loan. That was enough. Güler saw the money and within just a couple of days rejected Barca, signed for Real Madrid, and was officially presented at the Santiago Bernabeu, leaving Barca empty-handed, playing with their balls after believing they had won the race. Now, when you look at the history of Real Madrid and Barcelona fighting over players, it's really shaped by the way Spanish football works. One of the biggest reasons is Spain's release clause system. In La Liga, every professional player must have a release clause written into their contract. That means if another club is willing to pay that exact amount, the selling club can't stop the transfer. We've seen this happen before with players like Luis Figo and Dani Ceballos, where paying the clause allowed Real Madrid to bypass negotiations completely. Both clubs learned some painful lessons from those deals. After losing Figo to Real Madrid and Neymar to PSG through his 222 million euros release clause, Barca and Real Madrid started giving their biggest stars release clauses worth around 1 billion euros. Now, the idea isn't that anyone will actually pay it. Nobody's paying 1 billion euros for Gavi. It's simply there to make sure another club can't activate the clause and take the player without permission. Money also isn't just about how much you offer. Sometimes it's about when you can pay it. Selling clubs often prefer receiving cash immediately rather than waiting for years for installments. That's something Real Madrid have used to their advantage several times. Because of their financial strength, they've often been able to offer the full payment up front, while Barca, who have been brokies in the past few seasons, have needed to spread payments over multiple years. That difference helped Madrid win races for players like Marco Asensio and Arda Güler. Politics also plays a huge role. Unlike many of Europe's biggest clubs, Real Madrid and Barcelona are owned by their members, known as socios. They're not owned by some rich Arab. Club presidents have to win elections, and promising a superstar signing has been one of the easiest ways to win over supporters. Those political battles can end up driving transfer fees even higher. Then, more than anything, the transfer battle between Real Madrid and Barcelona is a zero-sum game. Whenever one club signs a world-class player, the other club loses the chance to do the same. Every major signing strengthens one team while weakening the other at exactly the same time. You can see that throughout history. When Barca beat Real Madrid to Neymar in 2013, Madrid changed the way they recruited players. Instead of chasing established superstars, they invested heavily in scouting young South American talent before anyone else could. When Real Madrid stole Figo from Barcelona in 2000, the consequences were just as significant. Barca struggled to recover from losing their captain, while Madrid used Figo as the first piece of the Galacticos era that transformed the club. Even today, with financial fair play rules, rising transfer fees, and competition from state-backed clubs, that rivalry hasn't changed. For Real Madrid and Barcelona, the transfer window is another El Clásico. If you enjoyed this video, I'm sure you will love this one too. Check it out right here.